Happy Monday. Welcome to the Roosevelt Show, where we provide short coverage and highlights on foreign affairs and political topics. Follow this page. We'll be coming to you Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. We're now on episode 3. Let's dive in. Today, we're going to start with the U.S. topics. These are the U.S. top picks that are very important for you all to get information on. Recently, United States Secretary of State Blinken, also Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin, met with President Zelensky in Kyiv. And as we know, this signals the continued effort for the United States and NATO to show a strong, supportive position. Now, we're also told American diplomats will return to the Ukraine to reopen the United States embassy. This is very big news. We're told that as early as next week, American diplomats will be returning to the Ukraine. Again, this showcases a strong commitment from the United States. And here's my take on the strategy. I think by placing diplomats in a conflict or a war zone essentially is a strategic move to put valuable assets which act as a deterrent to Russia in terms of locating precision targets where they would effectively think twice in terms of hitting those bases, hitting those locations, because this could escalate the tension between United States, Russia, and essentially I think it's a strategy that effectively provides a bubble of diplomatic presence within the Ukraine, specifically in the headquarters. So this is a very interesting move by the Biden administration, given that there's still conflicts between the Ukraine and Russia in terms of military actions that are being taken. And I also would say there are going to be some fine lines in terms of what the United States believes is an action or an activity from Russia that will cause NATO to make bolder moves, bolder decisions. And we're starting to see NATO from a perspective of planning, essentially bolster the NATO relations and make larger commitments. For example, the Pentagon plans to build 5 Ukrainian Howitzer Battalions. These are precision-fired artillery assets, but the personnel that will be trained, this essentially is now moving back to the joint military strategy of the United States, training the Ukrainian military to be more effective in this war and in future wars. But let's be clear, it's still a conflict zone, and I would assume that these diplomats will be receiving hazardous duty pay, as you all have seen this pay from the United States military perspective. Last but not least on this topic, at Ramstein Airforce Base, 20 defense ministers, this is happening. General Lloyd Austin will be hosting a meeting with 20 defense ministers at Ramstein Air Force Base to talk about the future of planning and support for the Ukraine. So again, hot topic in the U.S. foreign relations field. And now let's continue on, particularly within the next hot topic pick. Everyone has been watching this conversation. Elon Musk has put the bid in to purchase Twitter. This is big news because it talks about freedom of speech in terms of how freedom of speech is carried out on private platforms held by private companies. But we are now seeing a turn of events. Twitter is actually expected to accept Elon Musk's bid to buy the company. This is what we're hearing. We're following the story. And just some economics behind this. The deal translates to about $54.20 per share. So this is a big topic. Many conservative activists are calling for President Trump's account to be reinstated. And not just the President Trump conversation, but there's also a big conversation about reforming the way that content is censored on these platforms. And this will send a shockwave, I would say, to the workforce committee in terms of the folks who support and work in Twitter. We've seen some voiced opinions saying that they were not particularly happy that Elon Musk may become the leader of the firm. And this will obviously send a shockwave through the Twitter workforce. So this whole conversation about a poison pill strategy that the board came up with to make sure that they could box Elon Musk out from using economic power in terms of purchasing the stock to become the majority shareholder and take over the company, it appears that this poison pill strategy will fail. Now, last thing I will say, we've also heard conversations that Jack Dorsey, CEO of Twitter, founding member, was leaning towards supporting Elon Musk's bid. Let's keep watching this story. I think this is going to be very interesting and will be a historical moment from a social media perspective in the United States. Now, let's get to our last topic in foreign affairs. Our top pick, President Macron has made history. First re-election win in France for 20 years. The percentage came out to 58.5%, which is a very large margin of victory, and Le Pen has 41.5%. But again, President Macron wasted no time. He's already planning to meet with Putin within 24 to 48 hours now that he's established his position and has won the election. And now I believe that a lot of leaders in NATO are competing for popularity during this Ukrainian crisis. They're not wasting any time. The first member of leadership in NATO, if you will, Prime Minister Boris Johnson, went out to Kyiv to meet President Zelensky. And now the Biden administration in place two, if you will, went out to meet President Zelensky. General Lloyd Austin and Secretary of State Blinken went out there. So we're going to see larger commitments from the West, but congratulations, President Macron, on your win. We'll see how this continues to shape France's economy, their national security, and what commitments France will give to the NATO allies. We'll give you the quick 6 minutes. So again, catch up on our recent news, follow our page, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and make sure you follow us on Instagram. Last but not least, welcome to the Adam Roosevelt Show. We'll see you on Wednesday. Have a good week.